Have you ever felt like, even though we all want love, it's like we're all kind of stumbling around trying to find it. Shouldn't it be, I don't know, easier? Well, get ready to think differently about love. Today, we're diving into ancient Toltec wisdom.
Okay.
And our guide, Dr. Miguel Ruiz.
Okay.
His book, La Maestría del Amor.
Right.
That's the mastery of love, in case you don't speak Spanish.
All right.
It's going to help us unpack this whole love thing.
You know what I find really interesting about Dr. Ruiz is he doesn't mess around with surface-level advice.
Right.
He gets to the heart of it, the root of how we act in relationships, even the stuff we don't realize we're doing.
Yeah, it's like he's giving us a map.
Exactly.
And he's honest. He doesn't try to sugarcoat things. Like when he talks about this dream of hell idea, that definitely got my attention.
Right. And it's not like a literal hell with fire and all that. It's more like he's using it to describe what happens in relationships when we're so scared of getting hurt.
Right.
We actually end up causing more pain. He compares it to imagine everyone having a contagious skin disease.
Okay, now that's an image. So
Yeah.
everyone's walking around afraid to touch each other.
Exactly. And just like that fear would make, a real connection almost impossible.
Right.
Our emotional baggage, because we all have some, makes us guarded in our relationships. We build up these walls.
So it's like we're all carrying around these invisible wounds. We're afraid to let people get close because we think we'll get hurt again.
Exactly.
No wonder relationships can be so complicated.
And it gets even more complex because on top of those wounds, we build all these ways to deny they even exist.
Right.
Like masks, hiding our true selves.
So we want to be close to people, but that fear holds us back.
Yes, exactly. And here's the thing. It often starts way back in childhood.
You mean we're not born with these wounds?
Right. Ruiz is very clear about this. Kids are naturally loving and open, but as they grow, they pick up on the fears of the adults around them. It's like learning a song, but some of the notes are a little off. They grow up thinking that's just how the song goes.
I never thought of it that way. That's kind of sad when you think about it. These innocent kids just absorbing everything. Do you remember that story he tells about the child running to the park?
Oh, yes.
The kid's just happy.
Filled with joy.
Right. But the parent, scared the child will get hurt, stops them, maybe yells. The child doesn't understand. Their joy is gone.
Exactly. And it shows how our fears, even with good intentions, can really affect how a child sees the world.
Yeah.
And that's how we start to form these individual dreams about love and relationships. We carry that baggage, fear, rejection into our grown-up relationships. We repeat the same patterns without even realizing it.
So we go into relationships with all these ideas about love and fear, shaped by our pasts.
Well, exactly.
It's no wonder we clash with each other.
And that's where the two paths come in. The path of love and the path of fear. Ruiz says we're always going back and forth between these two, whether we realize it or not.
Two paths. Okay.
Right.
So how do we even know which path we're on? What are the signs?
Well, the path of love is all about respect, generosity, accepting ourselves and others for who they are.
Okay.
It's like understanding we're all on our own journeys, right?
So love is about letting go of trying to change someone
Yeah.
and just accepting them.
Yes. It's about freedom and being genuine. But then there's the path of fear.
Okay.
This path is about control, obligation, not taking responsibility for ourselves. It thrives on blame and judgment, always needing to be right.
Which, let's be honest, isn't good for relationships.
Definitely not. Ruiz actually compares a fear-based relationship to this battle for control.
Okay.
Like who will be in control and who will be controlled.
Wow, that's a powerful way to put it. It's like we've twisted the idea of love when fear is in charge.
And the thing is, most of us, we don't even realize we're on that path. It's all we know. Like breathing air, we don't notice it until it's gone.
So how do we get off that path? How do we change the way we think about love? What's the first step?
Ruiz says it starts with this inner hunt for love and taming something he calls the parasite.
The parasite. Okay, now I'm really curious. What is this parasite and how do we tame it? So we're talking about this parasite. What is it exactly?
Well, it's like this voice inside us, the one that's always negative, always putting us down.
Okay.
It whispers doubts, makes us feel insecure, keeps us from really going for what we want. It's that voice telling you you're not good enough, not lovable.
Oh, I know that voice.
Yes.
It's like it's waiting for us to feel good and then bam, it tries to drag us back down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tricky, this parasite. It pretends to be helpful sometimes.
Okay.
Like it's protecting us from getting hurt. But really, it's keeping us stuck in those fear patterns, projecting our own insecurities onto others, looking for approval outside ourselves instead of cultivating it from within.
So how does this parasite actually show up in our relationships? Like, can you give me an example?
Sure, like imagine you meet someone and things are going great, you're excited, but then that voice pops up.
Uh-oh.
It whispers, "They're too good to be true. They're gonna leave you just like everyone else."
Oh, yeah, I've been there. It's like it wants to ruin everything good.
And then what? Do you listen to that fear, or do you see it for what it is and choose to act from a place of love?
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, sometimes the fear just feels so real.
It's powerful for sure. And Ruiz actually uses this Greek myth to explain it. The story of Artemis, the goddess.
Yeah, I think I remember. She was a hunter, right?
Yeah, the best. Known for her skill, her grace. But she got obsessed with catching this one guy, Heracles.
Oh.
She lost sight of her own inner balance. She became consumed by the chase, and it destroyed her in the end.
So even a goddess, someone powerful, can get tricked by that parasite.
Exactly. None of us are immune to doubt and fear, but we don't have to let it control us.
So how do we tame it? It feels like a lot to deal with. What's the antidote?
Well, Ruiz gives us a plan, a way to heal. He calls it healing the emotional body, and there are three main things: truth, forgiveness, and love.
Okay, I'm listening.
Truth is like a scalpel. It helps us see our wounds clearly without pretending they aren't there. And to find that truth, he has these three rules. They sound simple, but they're deep. Don't believe me, don't believe yourself, and don't believe anyone.
Wait, don't believe anyone, not even you.
Nope, not even me, not even Dr. Ruiz. It's not about being suspicious of everything, but more like being cautious about the things we believe about ourselves, especially those limiting beliefs we picked up along the way. It's about questioning those old tapes that play in our heads. Are they even true?
So it's about figuring out our own truth.
Yeah, getting to know ourselves, even the parts that hurt. And once we can do that, forgiveness can come in.
Forgiveness. That can be hard, especially if we've been really hurt, even by ourselves. What does Dr. Ruiz say about that?
He's very clear that forgiveness isn't saying what happened was okay. It's about letting go of the pain, the anger, freeing ourselves. It's like, that saying, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Yeah.
That's it. We think we're hurting the other person, but really we're just hurting ourselves.
Okay, so truth is like the scalpel, and forgiveness cleanses the wound. What about love? You said that was part of it, right?
Love is the medicine that helps us heal, and the most important kind. Unconditional self-love.
Self-love. It seems like that's important in a lot of different traditions.
It's crucial. We can't really love someone else until we love ourselves, imperfections and all.
It's like you can't pour from an empty cup. You got to fill yourself up first.
Exactly. And one of the best ways Ruiz explains this is with this idea of a magic kitchen in our hearts.
A magic kitchen. Okay, now you've got me curious. Tell me more.
Imagine this. Inside your heart, there's this kitchen, and it can create all the love you need. It's endless, the source of joy and nourishment. But here's the thing. We forget about it. We go looking for love from other people, like beggars looking for scraps.
It's like we're starving, but surrounded by food, and we just don't see it.
Right. We want love so badly, but we search for it in all the wrong places, partners, friends, even online when it's right here inside us.
So we have these magic kitchens within us, but we've forgotten how to use them.
Exactly. And that's where Ruiz's story about the pizza comes in. Someone offers you pizza, right? But in exchange, they want to control your life.
Yikes. I think we've all been tempted by that pizza before.
For sure. We settle for crumbs when we have a feast inside us.
We're so used to feeling like we need more love, we don't realize we can provide it for ourselves.
And that's what that magic kitchen is about, our ability to create love and happiness from within.
So how do we learn to cook in this kitchen? How do we use it?
It starts by just realizing it's there. Shifting our focus from needing others to validate us, to that source within.
And that's where truth, forgiveness, and love all come in.
Yes. Truth helps us see the kitchen clearly. Forgiveness clears out the old junk to make room for the new. And love, that's the fire that gets everything cooking.
I love that analogy. It's so simple, but it makes sense. So if we can learn to love ourselves, does that mean we don't need love from others anymore?
Not really. It's not about being totally independent and alone. It's more about realizing that our capacity for love, it doesn't depend on other people.
So we're complete on our own. We can go into relationships whole, not needing someone to complete us.
That's it. And when we approach relationships like that, Ruiz says, that's when we start to experience what he calls awakening.
Awakening. That sounds pretty intense, like a spiritual experience.
It can be, but it's not always this big dramatic thing. It's more like things slowly become clearer.
Like seeing the world and ourselves in a new way.
Yes. Ruiz uses this great example to describe it. He says it's like being the only sober person at a party and everyone else is drunk.
Oh, I get it. Everyone else is stumbling around making bad decisions, and you're just like, what is happening?
Exactly. And you see things more clearly because you're not caught up in all the illusions.
So awakening is like waking up from that and seeing things for how they really are.
Yes. And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. Ruiz suggests that this awakening can lead us to a pretty amazing realization. That we are all connected to something bigger than ourselves, to God, to life. That we are all expressions of that.
Okay, whoa. Now we're talking about some really big ideas. So we're all just little pieces of God walking around.
Basically, yeah. He's drawing on this ancient Toltec wisdom, this idea that we are all interconnected, part of something much bigger.
So it's not just about finding the perfect partner or having a perfect romance. It's about seeing the divine in ourselves and everyone we meet.
Exactly. And that's the God within, this idea that we're not separate from that divine energy, that we carry a piece of it inside us.
That's a powerful thought. But what does it actually look like to live that way? To really believe in the God within, are we supposed to become superhuman or something?
It's not about suddenly having superpowers. It's more about a shift in how we see things. Like, imagine if we truly believed we were all expressions of something divine. How would that change the way we interact with everyone? How would it change our relationships?
That's a good question. I mean, if we could see that divine spark in everyone, it would be hard to stay angry or judgmental, even when it's hard.
Exactly. It's about treating ourselves and each other with respect, with compassion, even when people mess up.
It's not always easy, though, especially when our buttons get pushed.
It takes practice, for sure. Remember that inner hunt we talked about? It becomes a way of life, this constant practice of choosing love over fear.
So it's not about being perfect at love. It's about trying our best every day with what we know.
Exactly. And remember, every time we choose love, every time we forgive ourselves or show compassion, we're not just changing ourselves, we're changing the world.
Like a ripple effect. A small act of love can make a big difference.
And those ripples, they have the power to create real change in our relationships and in the world.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've covered so much today, from that dream of hell and the parasite to the magic kitchen and the God within. Is there one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
That you are love. You are a part of that divine energy that connects us all. Believe that, nurture it, and let it change you, the way you love, the way you live your life.
Beautifully said. And on that note, I want to thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the mastery of love. Keep exploring these ideas and discover the love that's within you. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the mastery of love. I hope you'll keep thinking about these ideas and discover that love that's already inside you.